Now let's welcome a dedicated professional with over 12 years of extensive experience specializing in market expansion, market access, and business development. Mr. Shamsud Dowla, Lead Business Development and Strategic Marketing International Business Division, Renata Limited. Having worked on multiple continents, he has successfully implemented strategic initiatives contributing to the growth and global presence of Renata. His talk will be dedicated to exploring the subject of corporate branding in local and global markets. Mr. Shams, the floor is all yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. And it's a great honor for me to join this platform, specifically where a lot of my mentors and my colleagues are, and my even university brothers and sisters will be talking. So it's very exciting to be here. And I feel really privileged. And thanks a lot to Shadia and Dr. Swati as well. I have been in touch with both of them, specifically Shajia, for the last 1.5 weeks, and I really appreciate the support. But the main thanks will go to Vivek sir for trusting on me and giving me the opportunity to present this interesting topic, which I've always felt is very much neglected in our industry when it comes to corporate branding. And when we work in international business, this is one of the few things that we always try to focus on. So I'll try to be as brief as possible, and I will try to uh, complete my presentation as soon as possible so that if there is any questions, we can carry on. But let's start the presentation first. So I'll move into the presentation mode. So what's corporate branding? If we look into the idea of corporate branding, and if we look into the biggest corporate companies in the world, the companies that we always see day in, day out, companies like Coca-Cola, companies like, Facebook, the company image or identity that comes to your mind, comes to our mind whenever we think of a soft drink, whenever we miss our friends these days because everything is now so much virtual, and the way the organization present it to the customer. So when we think about any particular product and the feeling it gives to us, it's because not only the product but the company associated with it. And the second part is the idea of intangible attitude and spirit behind the company. So if the company is connected to us, if the company is giving us that kind of a feeling and that kind of attribute that, okay, you are special because of using my product. You are special because you're associated with my company. That gives a kind of vibe that is part of what we call the corporate branding. And it's kind of an engagement, it's kind of a loyalty, it grows within the customer, and that gives a distinguished identity in the industry and in the minds of the consumer. So these are all parts and the introduction of the corporate branding. When you see yourself associated, you see yourself being ambassador of that product. That is what corporate branding is all about. What are the things that is kind of associated with corporate branding? One is the logo. See, when we talk about any um, say, I love Shah Rukh Khan. I'm a big fan of Shah Rukh. So when we think of Shah Rukh, we usually, even if it is in the background, it's a shade and he's waving his hands, we think of it as a logo. So he has become a brand. We think of a logo like when we see the logo of, say, Dell, even if any people who is not using a Dell computer or he's using a desktop, he will know that this brand represents Dell. And because of people's understanding of the specific company, and because people can buy that specific product because they feel really connected with that company, with that product they're manufacturing, and the more they will be driven to buy those products, the more profitability it will increase for the company. And say, I'll give a good example of such company where people can associate themselves. It's say Mr. Sadman is here, Arista Pharma has been in the market and specifically very well known for the ophthalmic products. And that's why even when I need any kind of eye products or ophthalmic products, even for my dad, who is an eye patient who has issues with his eyes, I always try to figure out which Arista Pharma brand should I use. And that increases its profitability, and it's also creating a reputation for companies like Arista Pharma. And when it comes to reputation, I have to tag along a few companies like Square or Biximco or even Sifta, SKF. And even if nowadays Renata, I have to say a few things about my company. We are growing a big reputation globally. And how this reputation grows over the time of using the corporate branding properly is something that um, uh, Mr. Tanvishwadip sir has always already mentioned. It's one of the things are connecting the dots, identifying what will make the company grow from here to here. And one of the things that we always speak in the company, that how we can differentiate ourselves from all other competitors. And that's why we come up with this idea that if bioequivalent study is required for a market like Sri Lanka, why cannot we do it for Bangladesh? And that's what will give the patients acceptance towards Renata Limited's capabilities or the products we are going to offer. And the association, the growth of Renata from being Pfizer and then being 51% owned by an NGO called Sajida Foundation, this kind of reputation is what is then builds a perception in the minds of the customer. And that's how we grow as a company. And I love this quote from Sir Richard Branson. He says, the way a company brands itself is everything it will ultimately decide whether a business survives or not. So when a company is struggling, we should really look into a possibility of understanding what kind of things will drive our company towards success. And one of the things that I feel is to identify how we can differentiate ourselves in the, if we look into the local market, create a competitive advantage is what will be the first thing. So what will create how and what kind of things will create Renata as a different entity than any other companies in the market? Company customer relationship and brand loyalty. So when we talk about Napa, when we talk about this kind of brands, which say Surgel, Max Pro, this kind of brand loyalties that has been created is not only because people knows only the brands, but also because they know what those company represents. Launch new product lines. So once the company knows that, okay, the customers, the doctors, and the patients, they love us. And at this point, I'm going to put new products in the market, whether it is an extension of the product line or it is a completely new product. Then we will feel brave. And that's what will make us drive forward. And then there is promotional advantage. So when we are going to the doctors and saying, okay, this product is bioequivalent to the innovator, and we make them understand what innovator's drug represents and how we are correlated and connected to the innovator brand, then the doctor will feel, oh, that's interesting. That's not something I've heard before. That's new in the market. Okay, I'm gonna write it to you. And then someone else comes back and doctor might say, okay, are your brand bioequivalent? So this kind of excellence in association with the company will change the dynamic of the market segment. And why it is important in global market, specifically since I have been working in business development for the last 4 or 5 years, I've been leading the BD for Renata. And what I felt and what I have practiced is to write as much as possible about Renata on LinkedIn. And a lot of people knows me for that, and they feel I write too much. But I feel this is one of the ways I can represent my industry. I don't only write about Renata, I write about what Bangladesh industry represents and how well we have come along over the few years in this segment. And that's why when we are going to markets like Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Kenya, we have built brands over these markets. We are not just selling. I don't feel international business should be considered as export. I feel international business should be considered as expansion. So when you are talking about expansion, you don't talk about only brands or only products. You talk about a company being present there physically, mentally, and emotionally. And that's why create an impact innovator and competing with the innovators and global players becomes very tricky. And that's why when we can target proper customers with proper emotions, that's where success will come. And you see, when there is enough good pharmaceutical corporate branding, the customer to recognize product of the company, they can see and see, oh, that's coming from Coca-Cola. And company to receive proper feedback from the customers, like, I don't like the lemon flavor Coke. I enjoyed a coffee flavor Coke in Kenya, but then I didn't like the other flavors they had. So we can get back with the proper feedback if we know the company and how it will evaluate our feedbacks. So now, going back, why it is important, it is already being mentioned previously, but some of the things like regulatory compliance, when Renata or any other Bangladeshi company will be present in a regulated market versus the MNCs, obviously the MNCs will get more privilege. But if it is a part of proper corporate branding planning at that stage, the regulatory authority will know which what this company is representing. They're representing good quality products. They're coming up with the proper documentary and documentation plans, and that way they will give us the kind of access that will be not possible for any normal company. So that's why corporate branding is important. Then challenge management. If there is a challenge in the market, the way a corporate branded company will get advantage, it will not be the same as the company who is just being present with its products and not doing a lot of things in the market. And then inviting partners. The more you talk about the company, a few days ago when I wrote about Renata, and I knocked a guy from one of the top MNCs in the world, and I said, "Hi, this is Shams from Renata Limited. I would like to know if we can work together." And he's like, "Hey, I know Renata. I know you guys are doing well." And I'm like, "Wow, how did this guy know?" Because we are not present in that market, but somehow something clicked, and it's not product because our products are not going to his market. It is what he has received from the social media, which has reflected with his words. And these are the few things which I think is very important when we are designing a corporate branding strategy. One of the thing is purpose, what we want to do, where we are, where we want to be, and we can take some help from the brands we admire, how they have grown over time, and be in the drawing board and build a strategy. Consistency is the key here. We cannot change from one strategy to another strategy every few years. We should have a long-term strategy, short-term strategy, and follow it very consistently. Create a style guide, like I want to follow this style. I want to um, prepare a SOP which will be reflected in the market. Emotions. We have to connect with emotions of the doctors, emotions of the patients. And once we can connect these two in one place, and then our corporate branding will be successful. Flexibility, and we have to be flexible. We cannot say, okay, I have been selling tablets for esomeprazole for so long. I'm not comfortable going for the nanotechnology, but it's not going to help because uh, previously it was only tablets. Now we are coming up with maps. So it travels through horizons, and people has to adapt to the new trends in the market. And then employee. So the people who are working in the company must act the same way the company is representing itself. When all these things are placed in one place, at that time, a proper company branding will be applicable. And I really feel Bangladesh being in a place where um, we are not there. India, we tell them India is like Hamara Bada Bhai. That's what we call. And if that's the case, then we are learning a lot of things what Dr. Reddy, Cipla, Torrent, companies like Sun Pharma has done. And now what we are trying to do is that we are trying to understand how we can get our image in the industry as well through a proper understanding of what they have done over the years, and then create a strategy over the years, not only to sell our products, but to create an image that Dr. Reddy, Renata, Cipla, Beximco are in the same league. And that's it. That is why I feel corporate branding is going to be the key success factor for Bangladesh pharma industry in local and global market. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was a wonderful presentation, Chums. And the excitement is, yeah, now we get that the excitement is done. Tanveer sir is also here. Any words of Tanveer sir? Until then, I wanted to just say a few words that the presentation knocks out one thing that this shows the message that how a company should preserve its local essence while projecting the global image, highlighting the delicate balance between the local roots and the global aspirations. That is what this shows. So good.
In
Uh,
fact, this corporate branding today becomes more important for India rather than Bangladesh. For the simple reason, tomorrow, if the government of India decides, no, all the products should be under generic names, what is the pharma industry in India going to do? So this is a very important point for the Indian pharmaceutical industry. And I think you have made a wonderful presentation. Even the audience from India would be appreciating why corporate branding is so important. Thank you so much, Shams.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Tanveer sir, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's not that Shams. I know Shams for a long time. He has been in my teams in other organizations and now working again here in Deneta. But I really enjoyed his presentations a lot because this is what I really built on my journey. Because I delivered probably in corporate branding more than 7, 8 lectures in different global and regional and in Bangladesh platform sessions earlier in my career span, because this I believe in and this I live on, because the organization I work for, I spent I would say 20 to 25% of my time to see that how that corporate brand equity and corporate brand essence is communicated to the customer segments, to the community. Because as Vivek sir was mentioned, that ultimately when we mean the customer centricity is the patient centricity. So patient centricity for pharmaceutical company, how that evolved. As Shams mentioned, the examples of Renata, I can quote one more time, that we are a company for last 50 years in this country and 30 years with the name of Renata, which has hold 51% share by a NGO called Shadada Foundation, who are serving 3 crore underprivileged people in the country. This is the communications we are making to the audience, that this company, apart from doing business, they are supporting 3 crore underprivileged people in the country. And that's where we start differentiating Renata from others. This is one example. I'm not saying that we are the best and others are not. Every company has their unique propositions, because every company, their own language to communicate to customer, to connect an emotional connectivity point. At the end of the day, that's what matters. Even if you look at many of the brands, if you go by the roadside and if you see a a soft drinks company doing some CSR work, subconsciously in your mind, it creates some soft corner for it. And probably in the next purchase to next purchase, if you are not the brand loyal for that brand, you, with your subconscious decision making process, probably you buy that brand because you have a connectivity built over there. So corporate branding is has a lot of things for the success. And Shams, I'm so happy, I'm so proud of Shams that he delivered. I really enjoyed the sessions. I cannot tell about the audience. I really enjoyed a lot. I couldn't have my lunch today. I had my lunch sitting over here, connecting, having my plate of food, not to be distracted going there. So I was listening carefully. So I
Thank
really
you.
enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
That's very well. Thank you so much, Tanveer sir. What you have said over here, that really makes a point over here. And with that, we have one more question, Sham, for you. It's from audience. Sampath Kumar has this question: in the changing scenario of brand selling, should product branding and corporate branding to be separated?
Thank you, Sampath. I think that's a very relevant question, and it's a brilliant question to ask. I don't think it should be separated. I think it should be more connected, because you cannot separate two things which are coming out of one another. So I feel you should connect them. We should connect them more, and then make it a larger horizon for the customer and the buyers. So it's very important. I'm really sorry, my daughters are shouting. So uh, I'm trying to calm them down. But yeah, I think that's very important that we connect them, not to separate them.
Any words on this? Same on this, Tanvir sir, about the question.
I think that's the right way, because I mean, the corporate branding and the product branding should have also a storyline to connect each other. It cannot be standalone. It's a story. You know that what we do in the sales, marketing, and the business world is making is a writing and a story. Is a storytelling these days. These days, it's all about a storytelling. So when you make your story, uh, I mean that use your story connecting your audience, that cannot be isolated. That's say for example, in Deneta, we are saying that we have 67 bioequivalent products, and in the Max Pro, the biggest brand in the pharma market, we say the Max Pro MAPS is a bioequivalent product. So is a product attributes we are selling to the marketplace, and we are also making our corporate branding identity that we are a company in the country having 67 bioequivalent products. So you see an example. This is not different. It's echoing the same story at brand level and also company level.
Thank you. And with that to both of you, because now is the era of, increasing transparency. How does a brand of a pharma company maintain that trust and credibility in this corporate brand image across diverse market? This is a personal question.
Sir, I want you to answer that.
No, I think you can also equally answer that. I mean, if I understand your questions, that the reliability and trust factors
Yeah,
by the
exactly.
customers.
Yes.
So in customers, there is two interfaces. As I mentioned, I see basically the customer centricity. I haven't, because of time, I didn't show everything. The diagram metrics I showed, most of them I sketched myself, because it's just learning reflections. So you see the customer centricity has a three layers. So first layers for a marketing or brand manager perspective, the sales team is the primary customers. The next level of customers is doctor, chemist, who are making the decision of the prescriptions or choices of medications. And last but not the least, the ultimate customers is the patient, or the consumers of your products. So reliability is depending on your service level. I mean the service level, communication level, connectivity level. So that's I mean the say for example electronic care products. If you are really for a patient, just imagine if you are really depending on a cardiovascular product, and one fine morning you see that the product is not available in the marketplace. That's a kind of I mean the losing your trust. And if it happens twice, thrice in your journey, then you have a complete mistrust on the brand. I'm just giving a typical example how a patient trust on the brand. I put myself on other day. I'm not giving an example and quote. Not that every brands I am using for my home and myself is my company brand, my current company. It can be another one to company brand as well. There are reputed company in the marketplace as well. But sometimes it happens that we don't get the supply of the brand, and it happens repeatedly. Then I go to my doctor and I tell, the enough is done with this brand. I am no more in a position to use this brand. You change it. Or being a pharmacist, I can also make a decisions. Okay, this is the generic, and I know these are the three companies in the market who can really rely on this product. Now I consciously switch this brand from this to that because this company is not giving my comfort. Every alternate month I get supply issues. So this is the typical example. So for a patient, when I'm a patient, my reliability is predominantly on the supply point, probably, firstly, and then also the purchase point and the price, it depends. It depends on the purchase capacity, capability. But for a medications, if the price is a bit 10-20% plus minus, if your satisfaction on the outcome of the product is really good, that is sustainable. That is sustainable, I see. For a doctor, their satisfaction and reliability is different. Whether the people from that company visit or convey the right communication message periodically on a very efficient manner. So for a different layers of the customers, it is a different basket of reliability. For a overseas market, as you mentioned, that's very tricky. At Shams and my colleagues, Nilay, I'm sure that he's also connected, yeah?
Yes,
So,
Neela is
Yes,
again.
sir, I'm
yeah,
here.
so they are the expert in the global market. They are traveling a lot. They are supporting these markets, sitting in Bangladesh a lot also. So that's a different ball game. But I think that Shams or Niloy can also add on to that. I know that dynamics, but their examples could be more handy. That in a overseas operations, their reliability also is also defined in different parameters. Of course, supply is a factor. The communication channel is also a factor, and also I mean that Shams made a comment, so it's very important, is not only the exporting the products, is also owning that expansion of the business. So this is not a term, this is also reflections. When I see that sending a product, that's the delivering of the product. That's one way looking into it. And another point is that we are taking the full ownership from starting of exporting the product, making the product available in that pharmacy chains, informing the doctors of that country on that products, also taking the feedback from the customers if they are facing any challenges while using our products in over there. So when you go through the whole value chain, then you build a reliability. You build a reliability. So I mean that customer centricity, I can give, I'm sure that the time is there, but so I met a few customers in the beginning of my career, the gastroenterologist, and I built the best in class relationships who are the leading KOLs in the country. You know what happened when I left Sandoz and worked in Novo Nordisk, worked in Sanofi? I hardly met any gastroenterologist in last 10, 12 years. But these days, I started working on Renata. You know, the Maxflow is the biggest brand in the marketplace. The gastro become the number one segment again. So your customer is never lost. You know that when I started my journey, the biggest segment and potential segment of my brand, they welcome me heavily. That he's a guy who know him for a decade's time, who has been very passionate and connecting with us, even 13 years, 14 years back, when customer centricity concept was not there. So you know that your customer centricity, the one word again I will bring in, be it global brand, be it global market or local market, that pays off. So it means a lot in different segments. I'm sure Shams and Nilay can add if I miss anything.
Yeah, I think I will echo what Sir just mentioned. And when we both, I think me and Niloy has been here in Renata for the last 1 years, but we had our chance to work in Sri Lankan market last year, and Niloy is going again. But what we have seen, once we launched one of our brands, azithromycin, there was no azithromycin at that point, and even the innovator was not there. So once we launched, they thought it's the innovator brand. But as in we all know, azithromycin is a very old molecule. So,
Still, they
so
think
one,
that some doctors still think that Zithrin is the originator in Sri Lanka.
yes, in Sri Lanka, they think we are the originators. So we have created such an impact in the market that everyone knows what Zithrin is about. So it's now we are looking into markets where we don't talk about the product. We only talk about what Renata represents. I think that is something what I have seen from companies like Sun Pharma. They just don't talk about their brands only. They built themselves as the largest generic company in the world. And everywhere you go, they will see the same. So I think that is where it is important that we make sure the company and the brand can make a collab together. I think that's the important part.
Keeping the, thank you for all the insights and keeping the time in mind. And this is just a question from Sampath itself, and this is to all of you. That how to engage employees in corporate branding. When it comes to employees, that's not sufficient in the
Oh,
yeah
okay.
employees.
Employees. You see, Tanvir sir, say for example, Tanvir sir is saying corporate branding is important. Me and Niloy is agreeing to that. That's a very easy example of how it should be working. So he will set strategies and say, Shams, this is what we want to do, and this is where we want to go. When you talk about any SME puzzle, talk about the one we have. When we go to the doctor, talk about what we reflect. When you go to Kenya, even there you talk about our brand. And when we act in a way where everyone is aligned and we follow the same route, it's kind of like, you have seen Game of Thrones, when Jon Snow is there and then the army is coming and they all follow him, right? It's the same strategy. The leader says what to do and everyone follows the route. That's very simple.
And now nobody will, lose contact for this question. Very smart answer, Shams. Thank you so much. And with that, thank you for all the insights from you three. Rizwanul, any other comments? I think you were about to say something.
Yeah, I would like to add something on what Shams has like ended. So regarding corporate branding, how to involve the employees, like let them give something to talk about the company, what they feel proud about. We give an example of like Sajida Foundation is holding 51% of Renata. So that means the 51% profit that we make goes to the poor people, underprivileged people. So it narrows down the what we call the financial barrier between the poor and the rich. So this is what company objective of Renata is. So these things, if we share with our colleagues working in the fields and they share with the doctors give a very good response. So things what our field colleagues feel proud about sharing our company also involves our colleagues to engage in the corporate branding more. So this is what I wanted to add actually. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And this has been a lovely insights from you and so as well. Moving on, Amarita, the floor is all yours, and we can have the next presentator in line. Please.